I'm going to be talking about Just One Kiss today, but before I say even one word, if you have not watched this movie yet but plan to, please do not watch my video. Make sure to skip it until you see it because I have a pretty big spoiler in here. Hi guys, it's B. Welcome to my new channel, Hallmark, my words. It used to be Delight the Way, but I changed it. You can see the video that explains what happened on my homepage. Anyway, today we are talking about Just One Kiss. It was the second movie to premiere in the Spring Into Love series on Hallmark Channel. If I could describe this movie in one word, it would be, what? I found myself saying what before the movie even started. When I found out that Santino Fontana played the evil Prince Hans in the Frozen movie, I was so excited. I also found myself saying what when I saw some of the outfits in this movie. Mia wears a dress to a fancy art opening that has a slit in the front, and I thought, I don't know that I've ever seen a dress with a slit in it on Hallmark Channel before, so that was a first. But then I was especially surprised when, as being a professor, she was again wearing a dress with a slit in it, which I used to teach. I wasn't a professor, but I don't feel like a dress with a slit that goes way up the front is super appropriate for teaching. And then, of course, there was the biggest what of all. I didn't expect to see a movie on Hallmark Channel that would remind me of The Sixth Sense in that it was, I see dead people. I did not know that the mothers who were sort of orchestrating things had passed away. I had no idea until almost the very end when Tony's all upset and he's kind of falling apart at the bar when he's supposed to be singing, and the two moms are in the back and they're really loud, and I'm thinking, why isn't anyone reacting to the fact that they're so loud? And I thought, this is kind of interesting. I don't know that anyone's interacted with either of them. So I found it kind of strange, but I really wasn't sure until the very end when they said, I wish you'd met my mom, and then the other one says, I wish you'd met my mom, and I started crying, and then you realize they say, my work here is done, and they walk out into the light from, I guess they go to heaven, and it is so sweet. And I have to say, I wasn't super enamored with this movie, but the fact that the moms were kind of orchestrating things behind the scenes, and that ending that was so sweet, and then how you see them again dressed all in white while Mia and Tony sing a duet in their adorable getup, another great standard. I thought, okay, this movie's doing better than I thought it was. So let's talk about the romance, the rom and the rom-com, as I like to say. I didn't find this movie to be super romantic. My favorite scene, the most romantic one, was actually when Tony was asleep. And it wasn't even really Mia, it was his dream of Mia, and it was in black and white, and they were dancing, and it was so lovely. I found the music to be super romantic. I loved all the songs that he sang, and when they did the duet together in the end, I mean, the music was just great. I actually have a list scrolling right now of all the songs that were in the movie, and I was just really impressed. It almost reminded me of like Hallmark Channel meets a musical. But for me, I didn't find the romance to be super strong, partly because I loved his character. I thought Tony was great. He was so adorable. I loved his singing, and he played the lounge singer role perfectly. He was so sweet to his niece, and the fact that he was willing to babysit Mia's daughter. I thought it was just so sweet. He was a great guy. I found him to be super duper funny. That scene where they go bowling, I just thought, man, I love this guy. This is the kind of guy that I would date in real life. I didn't find her to be extremely likable. I was sort of confused as to why, even though her daughter and her husband were both very much still hoping that the marriage would succeed, Mia's very adamant against trying to salvage anything at this point, which you understand. She's been through a lot. She's dealt with his alcoholism, which I was, again, surprised. This is the second week in a row where I felt like Hallmark Channel really went out on a limb in terms of being uncomfortable. The last week with The Second Chance at Love, again, you're dealing with divorce and a lot of people who are in great need of therapy. There's some brokenness. In this movie, it's no different. But I felt weird that even though Mia, as I was saying, she was very much against getting back together, but she was the one that wasn't able to sign the divorce papers for a while. So I didn't really understand her, and I didn't really understand why Tony was so into her. I just didn't find her particularly likable, and I felt really badly for the daughter too. We're talking about alcoholism, we're talking about divorce, and there's a little girl involved, and it was sort of uncomfortable for me. A couple years ago, I thought about writing, I don't know why, writing a story or a book for Hallmark. They were actually recruiting amateur people to write for them. On their website, they talk about how they didn't want any kind of serious themes. anything other than like boyfriends that were basically looking at their phones too much, or maybe they were working too much, but they didn't want themes like infidelity or divorce or alcoholism. They didn't want any really heavy topics to be covered, and they made that very clear. And I think, wow, they've changed a lot in terms of what they're covering. And I guess, you know, pros and cons of that. For me, I don't mind a little lighter fare. It feels like we're still into Hallmark movies and mysteries a little bit as opposed to Hallmark Channel, but anyway, yeah. And that basically was the calm in the rom-com for me too, the Cringe Hormone. I found myself cringing a lot because Casey was such an unlikable character. He really disliked Tony, and Casey is trying to win Mia back. And a lot of the time you're like, oh, this just seems so awful and awkward. So this was a spring into love movie, so I have to ask, did it bring those spring surprises? And well, it brought one spring surprise, and that is it, the tree. That's pictured there many times throughout the movie, that one tree. There it is. Welcome spring. Okay, so let's talk about the rating. I wasn't super in love with this movie. Okay, so I'm gonna give this movie 3 butterflies. Basically, 1 butterfly is for all of the great singing in the songs. I loved those. 1 butterfly is for Santino Fontana. I thought he was terrific. I hope he does more with the Hallmark Channel. And then that 3rd butterfly is for those meddling moms, and they were so sweet. I really liked them in the end. So let's talk about the ranking. As I mentioned in my Second Chance at Love video, that movie is going to be dead last in my ranking. And if it's not, there's something really wrong. I'll tell you that. So it's no surprise. Here we are ranking the first 2 movies of Spring Into Love. Number 1 is Just One Kiss. Number 2 is A Second Chance at Love. Well, that is going to do it for me. I'm super excited to review Always Amore with Autumn Reeser and Tyler Hynes. I know they're going to be incredible together. I just cannot wait. I'm going to be doing that very soon, actually. I'm a little behind in my movies, so I'm going to be watching that today. I'm really excited. I have more content here in case you're interested. Feel free to subscribe, although there's no pressure to do that. I hope you're doing well, and I hope, since it's spring, that your life is in full bloom. Take care. Bye.